The game is definitely collaborative. It's a game that you play with your friends, you play with your family. And so, we wanted to keep it light and fun. Um, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Well, there's a lot of challenges with that. We wanted to create a system that reflected the possibility space of the game, which is really, really large because you can stack all these different beasts together in ways that they evolve into other beasts. You can migrate beasts, both the original beasts and beasts that you evolve. You can migrate them to other environments. So you can migrate a bear from land to water, and it becomes a water bear, for one example. And so, we wanted to create a system that would have a lot of variety in it, but was not so impossibly huge that it would be unruly and we would be unable to work with it. I started prototyping a music system on my own, and then I brought in a colleague of mine, David Kanega, to help me figure out, what should this system be, how should it work. And over time and experimenting, we kind of figured out that it worked well to have a system where we had a couple of discrete phrases that were tied to each of the fundamental beasts that are the actual pieces that you get, and then to have additional phrases for the different combinations, but kind of limiting that to a certain extent so that we're not looking at creating thousands and thousands of phrases. Well, the music style for the game is somewhat synonymous with the sound design too. I think it all kind of came together as this singular sound. In the beginning, I kind of had a strong sense of what I wanted the sound to be, this sort of melting pot, hip-hop inspired, very sample-heavy kind of sound that was fun and kind of funky. And then bringing in the collaborators, bringing in David to help with music, bringing in Eric to do sound design, their contributions helped to evolve the sound in a somewhat different direction, which I think suits the game well. Eric brought his really solid sound design chops into the fray, which kind of brought a little bit more of a naturalistic quality to some of the sounds, and kind of a larger-than-life quality, which was really great. And then, David's contribution, the things that he makes sometimes are unpredictable in the best of ways, and so I think he really helped to bring out more of the fun nature of the game with his contributions. And so I think it was a really fun and collaborative process to have all three of us working together, and we even got to, on some of the sounds, all three of us worked on it together. So like the logo jingle for the game. All three of us touched that, and then the same goes for the trailer and stuff like that. So it was a fun kind of experiment in collaboration for us. Well, whenever you have a game that has a lot of moving parts, like Beasts of Balance does, the hardest thing, from my perspective, is getting lost in the complexity of the system and the complexity of possibility. And so what that means to me is, in certain other projects, the last 10% is, it's about as difficult as the first 90%, and that's normal. But on this project, the last 10% was even more difficult, I think, because we're trying to investigate all the nooks and crannies of this system, try to explore all the things that it can do, and make sure that it's operating smoothly. And just because the possibility space of this game is so large, and the audio system also has a very large possibility space, it made the last few steps of creation really difficult to finalize. being that the game is collaborative, it was a fun project to bring in collaborators on, and that extended to playtesting. So we got to play the game a bit together, which was a lot of fun. Working on a project that's kind of lighthearted and geared more towards kids is it feels good to do that, and I've worked on some darker projects, and including one that I worked on for 3 years that was pretty dark, and then coming out of that to work on a project like this was almost therapeutic at times. Yeah, that's what I would say.